Well, folks, the Lionel Hudson is back. For those of you guys that don't know the history of this particular engine, basically it all started, I think it was this summer, probably in about July. I was on my summer vacation, and we were at an antique store in Wells, Maine called Beaumar Hall. Beaumar Hall is a store which I think has been open since like the 1950s or something like that. And I've bought tons of train stuff, countless amounts of train stuff there over the years. It's always been one of my favorite stores down there. Anyways, it closed in 2015, and I thought that was it for Beaumar Hall. I thought, yeah, it's done for good now. But this year, surprisingly, a group of people got together. They opened the store back up. So yeah, I went there, and I was there walking through it, and there wasn't a lot of HO stuff, unfortunately. There was like one small box car or something like that, something ridiculously overpriced, like an old Tyco box car. Anyways, and while I was walking through there, I stumbled across this thing. It was on a table, and when I first saw it, it really caught my eye. This great big old Lionel steamer, in decent condition. And I usually see these things, I look at the price and I walk right away. But this time I looked at the price tag and it only was $25. So I was like, wow, this thing's ridiculously cheap. And I looked a little more carefully. The tender had a crack in it and it was basically listed as not working. So it's kind of like, that's a very good deal. Should I buy it? And I decided not to buy it. And my reasoning for that was, this is kind of silly. I don't have a controller. I don't have track. It doesn't work. I don't know anything about restoring Lionel trains. Why should I buy this thing? Days went by and I was just thinking about it. And I was like, okay, there's another store here that has some HO train stuff. I'll go to that store. They're right across the street from each other. And if there's not anything too special at that store, I'll go. And if it's still there, I'll just buy it. So I go to the other store, and that's where I found the infamous $3 locomotive, and the other one there, the Tyco steamer, and the $5 steamer. But still nothing like ridiculously expensive, so I went back across the store, I walked in, I went right back to the vendor that was selling it, it was still there, I just took it, and brought it to the cash, bought it, 25 bucks. And never looked back. I had no regrets. I was like, yes, this is a good decision. I don't care if I can't get it working. It's just going to be a cool display piece or something like that. So anyways, this thing has been sitting basically just on that table ever since then. I just brought it home and that's been it. Up until quite recently, where I was at the OVAR flea market train show, and I managed to buy... I apologize for the footage cutting out, my phone crashed for some reason. Anyways, so I bought an entire box of track for $5, I bought an entire box of rolling stock for $5, and I bought this old Lionel controller for $5. So I brought them home, I got it all opened up a few days ago in my unboxing video, and I tested this thing, and sure enough, it actually sprung to life. It was working. Very, very slowly, it didn't sound at all healthy. So I added a little bit of lubricant, and it starts to work a little bit better. And then I decided, okay, this thing, it has some life left in it, it's worth taking apart, let's see if we can get it working really good, because I'd love to have this thing running around the Christmas tree at Christmas time, or just in operating condition. So I took off all the side rods and stuff like that, and I tested it with the side rods off, it's running great, and I've taken out all sorts of bits of dust and crap, so I was like, oh yeah, okay, this thing is going to work really well. I put the side rods back on, and the light comes on, but the locomotive will not start. It just won't. Something's wrong. The motor's not making any noise whatsoever. So last night in my live stream, I asked all of you guys about it, and there was one gentleman in particular. I won't say his name because I'm not sure if he wants me to or not. I'll put his name in the description if he comments. But anyways, basically, he was saying that a part of the locomotive called the E-unit is stuck. I'm not very familiar with AC trains, so I didn't know what the E-unit is. Basically, it's a module which allows the train to reverse, because AC motors are not like DC, you can't just flip the polarity, they're very weird. So that's what the E-unit did. So anyways, he said the E-unit's stuck, you need to try to get it unstuck. So we tried a few things during the live stream to get it working. It didn't work, so I said I'm going to do some research, I'm going to figure this out a bit more for myself, because I don't understand any of this stuff, and I'm going to try to get it working. So anyways, I did some more research on how E-units worked and stuff like that, and the conclusion I came to is that this particular E-unit is in fact broken. So at that point I was kind of like, I guess this is not going to be restored, but I found a video, I think from a gentleman named Max's Trains. I'll put a link to the video in the description. And it was basically how to bypass the E-unit. You do not need the E-unit. So you're probably wondering, why do you have an E-unit if it's not a necessary part? You can wire around it. You need the E-unit to reverse, so when you remove it, the locomotive can only go one direction. So I had to rewire this engine. It can only go one direction, but I'm completely happy. It didn't even have a switch anymore. You can see the switch was gone. So I don't think I could reverse it anyway. So no more reversing, but that's absolutely fine. It's in working condition. I'll show you guys right now it actually working. Give it a bit of power here. Still a little stuttery. It might not start the first time. There we go. So you can see it is in fact in working condition. I'll show you guys how I wired this in case somebody else out there has the same problem. So this wire, basically all the people that were showing how to wire around it were showing motors where you basically have both the poles. In this particular case, you have one wire right here which feeds into the electromagnet. The other part of that, the other end of the wire feeds directly into the case, so it's positive and negative current throughout the case. So I had to wire this up a little differently. So basically what happens is you've got your alternative power, which comes from the middle rail. It comes up here. It heads in this tab right here, goes right in here, goes through the armature, comes back out here, comes up here, goes in here, through the coil, and into the case. These two wires are also connected to the alternative rail, so this one just goes up to the headlight, and the headlight is in the case, which again is where the power heads out from the electromagnet. Same with the smoke unit. So with this whole wiring configuration, basically it allows the train to run. None of the parts of the E-block are connected anymore. You can see there are all 4 of the wires, which would go down to the brushes and the drum. They're all disconnected now, so now the engine can run without them. Again, it only goes one direction, even if you flip the wires, because it's AC. I've got the shell on, and as you can see, we've got a runner. Well, folks, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I see a lot of potential in this locomotive. At least just setting it up around the Christmas tree I think would be quite a bit of fun, or maybe just setting up a really tiny layout down here in the basement on the floor. Who knows? All that matters is she works once again.